Good morning, students. We begin with the fresh chapter today, Supplementary Readers, chapter number 7, The Open Window. Now, it's a mysterious story where till the end you don't know whether the thing which has been said about something by a girl is true or untrue. Now, there are certain people in our lives whom we come across who are very good at making up stories. Now, they are so good at narrating a story that you and I would get captivated by their words and really think that these things are happening around. These certain, these people have the skill to make people believe, even if they are lying, that their lie is also a blatant truth. Now, let's see what horrific experience a person has who already is undergoing a trauma because of his illness. Frampton Nuttall has bad nerves. That means he is sick as well as he has undergone depression in the past few days. He retires to the country for cure and calls on a family friend. The lady, busy being upstairs, her young niece refers to a family mishap with focus on the open window. Now, this is the prelude of the story, that he has come to the countryside. From city, he has come to the countryside for looking for cure, with some peace of mind over there, and he wants to meet people around, and he has brought letters of introduction from his sister, where he takes the letter of introduction to each and every person and wants to socialize. Now, he reaches a house where the letter to whom this particular the letter for the lady for whom it was addressed, this person is upstairs in the house, and her young niece, who's a very good storyteller, is downstairs. Now, she plays a very good prank with this man who already has suffered a lot in his life. "My aunt will be down presently, Mr. Nuttall," said a very self-possessed young lady of 15. She was super confident in her talk. "In the meantime, you must try and put up with me." So she says, till she gets free, you can talk to me. Frampton Nuttall endeavored to say something which should duly flatter the niece of the moment without unduly discounting the aunt that was to come. Now, he was trying to say something good about the girl to whom he was talking, and not even in contradiction, not to say something different which would hurt the sentiments of the aunt also. So he wanted to balance out the situation over here. Privately, he doubted more than ever whether these formal visits of a succession of total strangers would do much towards helping the nerve cure which he was supposed to be undergoing. So he had doubts in his mind whether going and randomly meeting people whom he had never met earlier, is this going to help him come out of his situation? Is it going to help him cure himself? He always had these doubts. "I know how it will be," his sister had said when he was preparing to migrate to this rural retreat. So his sister had mentally prepared him that it's going to be weird because you'll be going and talking to strangers, but it would be good for you. That also counseling was done. "You'll bury yourself down there and not speak to a living soul, and your nerves will be worse than ever from moping." So she had said told him that if you don't go and mingle with people around there, your nervousness, what you are suffering of, that would become worse if you don't talk to anybody around. "I shall just give you letters of introduction to all the people I know there. Some of them, as far as I can remember, were quite nice." So she gives letters of introduction. Usually you don't allow strangers to come, just walk in. So if you've got a letter of introduction from somebody whom the people already know, so it's easier for them also to talk to the person who has come. They can at least trust that person. Frampton wondered whether Mrs. Appleton, the lady to whom he was presenting one of the letters of introduction, came into the nice division. Now, Might be because in his sister's good books she is there, Mrs. Appleton. But until unless this person communicates with Mrs. Appleton, he will not come to know whether she comes into the category of nice. Do you know many of the people around here? Asked the niece, when she judged that she had had sufficient silent communion. So these two people were sitting but not communicating at all. Now to break the silence, she puts up a question forth in front of this guy. Do you know many people around here? Now she's a very, I would say, now she actually inquires of everything earlier only to play safe, to do what she's up to right now. You will be coming to know as the story proceeds what happens later. Hardly a soul, said Frampton. My sister was staying here some 4 years ago and she gave me letters of introduction to some of the people over here. She said, I don't know hardly anybody I know around over here because my sister was staying over here. So she's given me letters of introduction, so I'm going around meeting people. He made the last statement in a tone of distinct regret because he, as it is, was of nervous temperament over there. He might be regretting his decision to come to the countryside and meet random people over here. Then you know practically nothing about my aunt, pursued the self-possessed young lady. Now, Darling starts off with a story. She says, that means you don't know anything about what happened to my aunt. Self-possessed means she has very high estimation of herself in her own eyes. Only her name and address admitted the caller. He was wondering whether Mrs. Appleton was in the married or widowed state. An undefinable something about the room seemed to suggest masculine habitation. So he says, I know only her name and address. I don't know even whether she is married or she has a husband or she's a widow. But something in the room, that means there were some items in the room which clearly indicated that men lived over there. There were certain items in the room. They were might be any game equipment was there or fishing equipment was there or the boots you must have seen, the shoes. Something indicated towards masculine habitation. Her great tragedy happened just 3 years ago, said the child. That would be since your sister's time. So now she is talking about a tragedy which happened with Mrs. Appleton. Her tragedy, asked Frampton. Somehow in this restful country, spot tragedies seemed out of place. When you go to a countryside, everything is so soothing to the eye and everything is so refreshing. But when you talk about tragedies happening over there, is a rare event to take place. You may wonder why we keep that window wide open on an October afternoon, said the niece, indicating a large French window that opened onto a lawn. So French windows are huge, not the normal size which we have in our homes. You can actually sit on the windowsill over there on the French windows. They're huge. So she's like, why do you think have we left a window open, a French window open on an October afternoon, that too which is facing the lawn? It is quite warm for the time of the year, said Frampton. But has that window got anything to do with the tragedy? That's what he is questioning back to the niece. Out through that window, 3 years ago to a day, her husband and her two young brothers, went off for their day's shooting. So he says from the window, 3 men of this family had gone out for shooting. So that's hunting actually. They never came back. In crossing the moor to the favourite shooting ground, they were all 3 engulfed in a treacherous piece of bog. Now moor over here is a huge grassland. Now treacherous means dangerous. The meanings have been given in at the end of the page over here. And bog is a wet spongy ground. You can call it like a quicksand. Okay, quicksand, and the quicksand is actually dry. But this one is like you can call it like जैसे हिंदी में बोलते thick कीचड़ होता है ना, so that is called a bog. So they got engulfed in that, and the bog had killed them. It had been that dreadful wet summer, and places that were safe in other years gave way suddenly without warning. So she says, It was a wet summer and the places which were actually reliable because you could happily walk on and move, that kind of places turned risky to walk on. Here the child's voice lost its self-possessed note and became falteringly human. Now, she was speaking in a very shaky and hesitant voice over here because might be she was choking at the fact that 3 people of the family they had lost on a single day. So I'll proceed with the rest of the story in the next lecture. Thank you, dear.